Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India News Hour, India's voice to the world. I am Ramesh Ramachandran. Coming up in the next hour, the US acknowledges that it secretly shipped long-range missiles to Ukraine. Ukraine used the weapon to strike Russian targets in Crimea. Israel says that it is moving ahead with a planned military operation in the southern Gaza city of Rafah, prepares to relocate Palestinians in advance. US Secretary of State meets with business leaders and students in Shanghai on day 2 of his visit to China, calls for managing differences responsibly. And India to hold phase 2 of its parliamentary election on Friday, 88 seats up for grabs. US President Joe Biden has signed into law a bill which provides billions of dollars in aid to Ukraine, Israel and Taiwan in what has come as a rare bipartisan victory as he seeks re-election this year. The $95 billion aid package, which includes military support, has allotted $61 billion to Ukraine, $26 billion to Israel and $8 billion to counter China in the Indo-Pacific. The bill was passed after months wrangling with Republican lawmakers in the country's legislature. The initial aid package includes vehicles and air defense munitions for Ukraine.
It's a good day for America, it's a good day for Europe, and it's a good day for world peace, for real. This is consequential. I just signed into law the national security package that was passed by the House of Representatives this weekend and by the Senate yesterday. It's going to make America safer. It's going to make the world safer, and it continues America's leadership in the world, and everyone knows it.
Israeli troops are moving ahead with its planned military operation in the southern Gaza city of Rafah. The army is prepared to remove civilians from the conflict-struck region. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's government gave no timeline, though. Earlier, Israeli warplanes attacked the northern Gaza Strip for the second day on Wednesday. At the White House, U.S. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan said that Washington, D.C. was still talking to Israel about Rafah and that officials from both countries are expected to meet again in person soon.
Tell you is the U.S. position has been clear on this. I've stated it from this podium. The president has spoken to it. And we've had very detailed discussions with the Israelis as recently as last week by secure video to talk through not just our concerns, but our view that there is a different way to go about dealing with the Hamas threat in Rafah and succeeding in ensuring the long-term defense and security of Israel. We are still in those conversations, and we will still continue to press our perspective.
Sarah Coates joins us from Tel Aviv for more. Sarah, what more can you tell us about the preparations by Israel for its planned military operation in Rafah?
Hello there, Ramesh. We do understand, according to Hebrew media, that yesterday the head of the Shin Bet and also the IDF Chief of Staff, Herzi Halevi, that they were dispatched to Cairo, set to meet with Egypt's spy chief to discuss this potential operation down into that southern Gazan city of Rafah, where some 1.3 million internally displaced Palestinians are sheltering. Also yesterday, Ramesh, the military announced that it's deploying 2 additional reserve brigades of troops, which could be up to 10,000 fighters, to Gaza. They had previously been trained in the north or deployed to the north. They've now been trained for combat in Gaza and are expected to be on the ground in the coming days. There have also, of course, been these pictures which have been analysed by the Associated Press, which show these tent cities being constructed just west of Khan Yunis. Now, the military says that it didn't actually have anything to do with this tent city, but we do know, according to the military just around a week ago, that they have been putting in orders for tens of thousands of tents. Potentially these could be used down in southern Gaza. So certainly appears as though this potential operation may be on the cards. And if anything that we've been hearing from the Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is to go by, he is adamant that this operation will happen, saying that the last 4 Hamas battalions remain there.
Sarah, what are you learning about Israel's quote-unquote offensive actions in Lebanon that took place on Wednesday? Are they over?
Certainly not. These tit-for-tat escalations that we've been really seeing on a daily basis since October 7 are only intensifying. We do know, according to the Israeli military, that it hit some 40 targets, Hezbollah targets, not just directly on this Israel-Lebanon border yesterday, but further deep inside Lebanon. And this comes amid reports that right now the Israeli military is also striking in Baalbek. And this is a place in eastern Lebanon. It's around 100 kilometres off the Israeli border. Now, it is important to mention that this area is known as to be a Hamas, Hezbollah, I should say, a stronghold. So certainly what we can expect to see here is that these escalating tensions may even rise further. Hezbollah has been saying that it won't pull its troops off the border until there is a ceasefire in Gaza. But of course, given everything we've really been seeing around the region, that seems like it could be some time away. Ramesh.
All right, we'll leave it at that. Sarah, thank you. Sarah Coates reporting from Tel Aviv. The United Nations has urged Israel for a swifter action to allow a sustained flow of assistance into the Gaza Strip. A top UN aid official on Wednesday said that Israel should take further definitive and urgent steps as aid workers needed safe access to and throughout Gaza. Israel pledged nearly 3 weeks ago to improve aid access, including reopening the Erez crossing into northern Gaza and allowing temporary use of Ashdod port in southern Israel.
At this perilous moment, President Biden has called on Israel to take a series of specific, concrete, and measurable steps to address this humanitarian crisis, protect civilians from harm, and ensure the safety of all aid workers. Israel must do more to prevent civilian casualties, immediately. And President Biden has made clear that U.S. policy will be determined by our assessment of Israel's immediate and sustained action on these steps.
A UN official said on Wednesday that operationalization of the UN 2720 mechanism for Gaza will start in the coming days.
The mechanism will initially be applicable to the Cyprus and Jordan routes, respectively. Technical consultations will shortly be finalized with Egypt on this route. I've informed the government of Israel on the operationalization of the mechanism as per the resolution. The operationalization of the mechanism will allow for pipeline prioritization, predictability, visibility, and tracking of supplies to Gaza. As the resolution intended, the mechanism is designed to facilitate and support the work of all humanitarian partners on the ground.
Meanwhile, Hamas published a video on Wednesday showing an Israeli-American hostage alive. His parents have urged leaders involved in ceasefire negotiations to reach a deal.
Seeing a video of Hirsch today is overwhelming. We're relieved to see him alive, but we are also concerned about his health and well-being, as well as that of all of the other hostages and all of those suffering in this region. And we're here today with a plea to all of the leaders of the parties who have been negotiating to date. That includes Qatar, Egypt, the United States, Hamas, and Israel. Be brave, lean in, seize this moment, and get a deal done to reunite all of us with our loved ones, and to end the suffering in this region.
The Yemen-based Houthis attacked 2 U.S. ships and an Israeli vessel on Wednesday. It was the first such attack in more than 2 weeks. The Houthis said that it targeted the U.S. ship Maersk Yorktown, a U.S. destroyer in the Gulf of Aden, and an Israeli ship MSC Veracruz in the Indian Ocean. The Houthis have been attacking ships in the Red Sea since November last year.
The naval forces of the Yemeni armed forces carried out a military operation targeting the American ship in the Gulf of Aden with a number of suitable naval missiles, and the hit was accurate.
From one conflict to another, the U.S. has claimed that Ukraine sustained its offensive on Russia with an uninterrupted support of secretly shipped missiles. U.S. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan confirmed that a significant number of long-range missiles were recently shipped to Ukraine and that Ukraine has now used them twice against Russia. Sullivan said that the U.S. will send more of it for Ukraine. The U.S. Defense Ministry had initially opposed the transfer, fearing that it would hurt U.S. military readiness.
I'm able to confirm, as you've heard from others, that in February the President directed his team to provide Ukraine with a significant number of ATACMS missiles for use inside Ukraine's sovereign territory. That shipment started moving in March as part of the PDA that the President authorized on March 12th, and those missiles have arrived in Ukraine. We will send more now that we have additional both authority and money.
And my colleague Megumi Lim joins us from Kyiv for more. Megumi, what's more can you tell us about Ukraine receiving a U.S. shipment of long-range missiles and how it was used against Russia?
Well, first of all, the first time the United States sent these ATACMS missiles to Ukraine was in last October, but these were the mid-range ATACMS missiles with a range of about 165 kilometers. But this time round, in the latest military aid package, it is expected to include the longer range ATACMS missiles with a range of about 300 kilometers. Now, this would, of course, give Ukrainian forces the ability to strike military targets, Russian military targets, deeper within Russian-controlled territory, particularly in Crimea. And as you mentioned earlier, the United States yesterday confirmed that they have been sending these ATACMS and long-range missiles to Ukraine secretly in the month of February and March, which was part of the $300 million military aid package, which was approved by President Biden as part of the Presidential Drawdown Authority. And Ukraine has reportedly used them already twice, including on the morning of April 17th when they struck a military airfield in Crimea, which is located about 165 kilometers from the front line. So it is clear that these missiles will be used against Russian military targets located far from the front lines and will help Ukrainian troops degrade Russia's ability to carry out operations. Now, the White House National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan said that these deliveries followed Russia's procurement and use of North Korean ballistic missiles against Ukraine in recent months, and also Russia stepping up its attacks against Ukraine's critical infrastructure in recent weeks. So again, the United States have said that they will continue to send these long-range missiles to Ukraine.
At the same time, Megumi, U.S. President Joe Biden has just signed into law a bill that provides more billions of dollars in aid to Ukraine. And what does it mean for Ukraine's fight against Russia? How will it help Ukraine? What's in it for Ukraine, really?
Well, this is definitely going to be a lifeline for Ukrainian troops on the ground who have been waiting for months now for this military aid to arrive. As we know, the United States has continued to be the single largest donor of military aid for Ukraine, and Ukrainian troops have been trying to repel Russian advances with very limited resources. Now, this military aid package will likely not lead to any immediate battlefield victories, but it would give Ukrainian troops a chance to finally start strategizing and planning for future operations. Now, although President Biden has said that the first batch of military aid is expected to arrive within days, military analysts have said that the true impact of this military aid will only be felt after a few weeks, and in that time window, Russian forces are likely to intensify their attacks against Ukraine. Now, this military aid package will include 155mm artillery shells. This is something that Ukrainian troops have said that they are running critically low of, and Russian forces have been firing 10 times the amount Ukrainian troops have been firing. Now, with the delivery of these artillery shells, Ukrainian troops will be able to more easily repel Russian forces' advances and also give their own infantrymen covering fire. Now, this aid package will also include air defense systems and, as I mentioned earlier, long-range missiles and other types of missiles that will help avert Russian advances, especially in the east.
Right, Megumi, thank you. Megumi Lim reporting there from Kiev. On Wednesday, Russia's Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu announced that following the modernization of the Plesetsk military cosmodrome, its capacity to facilitate spacecraft launches will double. Minister Shoigu's ministry released a video showing him touring the cosmodrome in the Arkhangelsk region.
Today, at the Plesetsk Cosmodrome, the creation of infrastructure has been completed that will ensure the launch of Angara launch vehicles of heavy and light classes with upper stages for launching spacecraft into all types of orbits in the interest of Ministry of Defense. 6 launches of these missiles have already been successfully carried out, and 3 more launches of launch vehicles of this class are planned this year. With the completion of modernization of second launch complex of Soyuz launch vehicles, the Cosmodrome's ability to support spacecraft launches will double.
Still to come on DD India NewsHour. Former US President Donald Trump claims that a court-ordered silence in his hush money trial is unconstitutional. Russia vetoes a US-drafted UN Security Council resolution that called on countries to prevent an arms race in outer space. And the Presidential Transition Council to be installed in Haiti on Thursday.
Hype versus facts. In-depth news and analysis with experts who will help you decide why this election matters. DD India is the main election headquarters with numbers most accurate, data most reliable, and viewership across the platforms. Stay tuned to the Great Indian Election only on weekdays at 8:30 p.m. IST and 1500 hours GMT.
You're watching DD India NewsHour. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran. Russia on Wednesday vetoed a US-drafted United Nations Security Council resolution that called on countries to prevent an arms race in outer space. The vote came after Washington, D.C. accused Moscow of developing an anti-satellite nuclear weapon. But Russia's President Vladimir Putin said that Moscow was against putting nuclear weapons in space. At the UN, the country accused US of trying to tarnish its image and said that Russia would shortly begin negotiations with the UN Security Council members on its own draft resolution aimed at keeping the space peaceful. Former US President Donald Trump has again claimed that a court-ordered silence in his hush money trial is unconstitutional. The prosecutors accuse that Trump broke the gag rule 11 times. The judge has not decided on punishment yet. William Denslow reports on the latest developments from New York City.
In a social media post, Donald Trump said the gag order against him in the hush money case was unprecedented and part of a trial that's rigged against him. It's a claim the Republican presidential frontrunner has repeated regularly during the trial. Donald Trump faces 34 felony counts of falsifying business records, tied to allegations that he paid hush money to a porn star in the lead up to the 2016 presidential election. Trump denies the charges, and on Wednesday again claimed that the legal proceedings are a political witch hunt, aimed at hurting his chances of regaining the presidency in November. Taking to Truth Social, the former president ought to accuse 2 other New York judges who presided over several of his recent civil cases of being corrupt and working for the Democrats. Court was out of session on Wednesday, but witness David Pecker is expected to be back on the stand on Thursday. The former publisher of the National Enquirer alleges that he coordinated with Donald Trump to prevent potentially politically damaging stories from hitting the headlines in the lead-up to the 2016 election. Trump's legal team say their client has committed no crimes. William Denslow in New York, reporting for DD India.
The US top court is hearing arguments in a case on Thursday that could have a major impact on the next presidential election. It will consider whether Donald Trump is immune from prosecution concerning criminal election interference cases against him. DD India's Caroline Malone reports.
A potentially pivotal moment is happening for former President Donald Trump at the Supreme Court on Thursday. That's when the top court's 9 justices will hear arguments over whether he has presidential immunity for being tried in election interference cases. Now, Trump's lawyers are likely to argue that he should have immunity over official acts that he was conducting while he was in the White House. And that's in reference to some of the events leading up to and on the day of January 6th, the Capitol attack, when mobs stormed into the Congress to try and stop the election being officially declared for Joe Biden, of course, the current president. Now, the prosecution team, being led by Special Counsel Jack Smith, says he doesn't have immunity. There is some precedence for immunity for presidents in the United States, but more related to civil cases rather than criminal. And so they argue this case should go ahead. Their wider federal criminal case against Trump can't go ahead, though, until the Supreme Court issues an opinion. Now, that might not happen until the end of June, but we could get some sense about which way the justices are leaning when we hear how they question both Trump's lawyers and the prosecution team on Thursday. And of course, the opinion and the result from the Supreme Court could have an impact on this year's November presidential election, which is a likely rematch between Biden and Trump, with voters basically deciding whether they want Trump, who could at that point have been part of a number of criminal cases, to be back in the White House, or they want the incumbent, Joe Biden. Caroline Malone in Washington for DD India.
A grand jury has charged 18 people with allegedly taking part in a fake elector scheme in the U.S. state of Arizona to re-elect then U.S. President Donald Trump in the year 2020. The court papers list a former U.S. president, in this case Donald Trump, as an unindicted co-conspirator. The indictment stems from efforts to reverse Democrat Joe Biden's victory in several states in 2020, based on Republican Trump's false claims that he had been re-elected. Trump lawyer and former New York City Mayor Rudy Giuliani is among those indicted. The indictment also identifies one defendant as the chief of staff in 2020, the position that Mark Meadows held in the Trump White House at the time. The false elector scheme figures in 2 criminal trials in Washington, D.C. and Georgia, charging Trump with unlawfully seeking to overturn Biden's victory. The House of Representatives in the U.S. state of Arizona have repealed a controversial 1864 ban on abortion. But the ban could still come into effect if it's not knocked down by the Senate. House lawmakers voted 32 to 28 to repeal the law, which provides no exceptions or for abortions even in cases of rape or incest. 3 Republicans crossed party lines to join all 29 Democrats in voting for the repeal. The Arizona Senate, where Republicans hold a slim majority, could vote on the measure on the 1st of May. 25th April is World Malaria Day. Now, malaria is preventable and treatable, but it claims hundreds of thousands of lives every year. Nigeria has more cases of malaria and malaria deaths than any other country in the world. The fight against the disease in Africa's most populous country faces challenges. Health experts say that a higher quality healthcare needs to be available to all Nigerians in order to fully address the challenge. DD India's Ajak Mangut reports.
Fatima Abubakar lives with her family in this small community in Abuja. She says her children often get malaria due to their poor living conditions.
I have young kids, and sometimes I'll have two of them getting malaria at the same time in a month, or one child falling ill twice a month. And that's because we have a lot of mosquitoes here. It's not easy having to deal with that.
Malaria is a disease caused by female mosquitoes found in areas with stagnant water and an unclean environment. Children under 5 are the most vulnerable to the disease. The World Health Organization says Africa is disproportionately affected by the disease.
Health authorities in Nigeria say an estimated 55 million malaria cases and nearly 90,000 malaria deaths occur in the country every year. The World Health Organization also says the risk of transmission exists across Nigeria all year round.
For years, Nigeria, through its National Elimination Program, has been working to lessen the burden of the disease through prevention and treatment, policies and guidelines. But health experts say poor funding, insecurity and the COVID-19 pandemic has slowed progress.
It's been a tough one managing malaria in the country. It's some progress and then some regression. The program, the National Malaria Elimination Program, tries to look at control from different angles. Vector control, appropriate treatment, diagnosis and treatment, chemo prevention, and the monitoring and evaluation, as it may be. So all those have challenges. There are a lot of inequity in even reaching the real needy population for malaria. For example, the burden is more in the rural area, amongst the lower socioeconomic group, in the Sahel region, and then with all the insecurity and all those or whatnot happening in those places. So that was a delay.
Health experts argue that the government should look at guaranteeing access to quality health care, especially in rural areas. They say this will help in providing care for malaria cases and all other diseases the country is grappling with.
The system has to be such that there is access to care, especially for vulnerable and hard-to-reach places and people. People in the rural area, we must revamp our primary healthcare system, retrain our healthcare workers, so they could use the latest and recognized treatment protocols for malaria. And then we have to make healthcare access readily available for our people in the rural area.
The government says it wants to start rolling out vaccines for malaria before the end of 2024, with a target to reduce malaria prevalence by 2025. Also in April, it announced plans to improve facilities in 17,000 primary healthcare centers and establish over 8,000 new ones to improve access to quality health care. But those aims require time and significant funding. For now, Fatima is doing what she can to try and protect her children from malaria. Ajak Mangut in Abuja, reporting for DD India.
Still to come on DD India News Hour. A special report from Darjeeling in eastern India, which goes to the polls on Friday. The people of East Tripura in India's northeast say that nothing, not even the hot weather, will dampen their enthusiasm to go out and vote. And at Bhagalpur in Bihar, political parties make one last attempt to woo voters before polling.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked. We just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran. A quick recap of the headlines. The US acknowledges that it secretly shipped long-range missiles to Ukraine, and Ukraine used the weapon to strike Russian targets in Crimea. Israel says it is moving ahead with a planned military operation in the southern Gaza city of Rafah, prepares to relocate Palestinians in advance. And India to hold phase 2 of its parliamentary election on Friday, 88 seats up for grabs. All right, let's now get you the latest on the world's largest democratic election in India. Preparations are in full swing for the second phase of India's election, for which the voting will be held on Friday. The election will be held on 88 seats in 13 states and union territories, including the remaining part of the outer Manipur constituency. Polling for the Bethul constituency in Madhya Pradesh, which was scheduled in the second phase, will now be held in the third phase because of the demise of the BSP candidate. A total of 1,198 candidates from 13 states and union territories, along with 4 candidates from the outer Manipur constituency, are in the fray in this phase. So campaigning for the second phase of election ended on Wednesday, while it continues for the third phase. The BJP is set to raise the pitch of the election with Prime Minister Narendra Modi's 32 rallies and roadshows across 10 states in the next 10 days. The Prime Minister and BJP leader Narendra Modi addressed a public rally at Morena, which is a bastion of the BJP in Madhya Pradesh. At the rally, the PM said that Morena has always supported those for whom it is country first. He also addressed a rally in Uttar Pradesh's Agra and will hold 2 other rallies on Thursday.
कांग्रेस के शहजादे अब आजकल वो जरा इतने चिंतित है कि आए दिन उनको मोदी का अपमान करने में मजा आता है। मोदी के लिए भला बुरा कहना उनको मजा आ रहा है। वो कुछ भी बोलते जा रहे हैं और मैं देख रहा हूं सोशल मीडिया में, टीवी में बहुत सारे लोग चिंता जताते हैं कि भाई ये भाषा अच्छी नहीं है। ऐसी भाषा देश के प्रधानमंत्री के लिए बोलना ठीक नहीं है। ऐसा लोग सोशल मीडिया में कहते हैं। कुछ लोग बहुत दुखी हो जाते हैं कि मोदी जी को ऐसा क्यों बोला, देश के प्रधानमंत्री के लिए ऐसी भाषा का क्यों प्रयोग किया, देश के प्रधानमंत्री को कभी कोई ऐसा बोलता है क्या। मेरी सबसे विनती है कि कृपा करके आप दुखी मत होइए, आप गुस्सा मत कीजिए। आपको पता है वे नामदार है, हम तो कामदार हैं।
While addressing a press conference in New Delhi, Congress leader Jairam Ramesh said that here is no mention of inheritance tax in the party's manifesto. It is not on their agenda.
आर्थिक विषमता को लेकर मैं साफ कर देना चाहता हूं कि इस न्याय पत्र में विरासत कर का कोई जिक्र नहीं है। विरासत कर हमारा एजेंडा नहीं है। और हकीकत यह है कि 1985 में नए नए प्रधानमंत्री राजीव गांधी जी ने उस विरासत कर को हटाया था।
So all the political parties are gearing up for the election's third phase of campaigning. BJP leader Rajnath Singh addressed a public gathering at Lakhimpur Kheri in Uttar Pradesh. He will hold another public meeting in Etawah. Another BJP leader, Amit Shah, held a public meeting at Medak in the southern state of Telangana. He will also hold a public meeting at Bolangir in the coastal state of Odisha. Andhra Pradesh Chief Minister Y.S. Jagan Mohan Reddy filed his nomination from the Pulivendula Assembly constituency in Andhra Pradesh. Samajwadi Party leader Akhilesh Yadav filed his nomination from Uttar Pradesh's Kannauj. Aam Aadmi Party on Thursday launched an election campaign called Jail Ka Jawab Vote Se in New Delhi over Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal's arrest in an excise policy case. All right, let me again get you the full complement of DD India reporters covering every nook and corner of the country's election for you. Joining me from Katihar in Bihar is Debyendu Mondal. Waiting in Kota, Rajasthan is another of my colleague Vishal Baristo. And joining me from Nanded in Maharashtra is Yogesh Sheetal. Starting with you, Debyendu, talk to us about the candidates in the fray from Katihar.
Well, Ramesh, that's right. In Katihar, it is going to be Tariq Anwar versus Dulal Chandra Goswami of the JDU and Tariq Anwar of the Congress that will be fighting it out tomorrow at the Katihar Lok Sabha Assembly, Lok Sabha seat here in Bihar. Apart from this, there are 4 other seats that are going to the polls tomorrow, which includes the Purnia, Kishanganj, Baka constituencies here in Bihar. What's interesting about this Katihar constituency is, of course, the fact that multiple-time MP Tariq Anwar, who is from Katihar, is contesting this time around on a Congress ticket. This particular seat had been a Congress bastion for a very long time. Tariq Anwar had been the Member of Parliament from here till about decade and a half by Juggernaut in 2014. Contest here with sitting MP of the JDU, fighting it out against Tariq Anwar. But what's interesting in the neighboring Purnia is the entry of a third candidate which made it into a trilateral fight in the Purnia Lok Sabha constituency. The entry of Pappu Yadav contesting on an independent ticket. He was wanting a ticket from the Congress as well as from the JDU. I beg your pardon, from the RJD, but he could not secure a ticket from either of the two parties, after which he decided to contest as an independent candidate. Of course, if our viewers would remember, Pappu Yadav was a dreaded criminal of this region.
Right. Debyendu, apologies for interrupting you there. We'll try to fix that audio link with you in just a bit and come back to you if we can later on the broadcast. Right, shifting focus from Katihar in Bihar to Kota in Rajasthan. With me is my colleague Vishal Baristo. Vishal, Speaker Om Birla of the BJP is contesting from Kota. How has his campaign shaped up in the last several weeks?
Well, a very good afternoon to you, Ramesh. Yes, Kota is the VIP seat and one of the seats that would go to polls tomorrow. 13 seats, including Kota, would be voting in the second and final round as far as Rajasthan is concerned. Om Birla has been winning the last two elections, both in 2014 and 2019. But this time it is an interesting contest. Why? Because his former colleague from the Bharatiya Janata Party, who lost the assembly elections from Kota, Prahlad Gunjal, is now on the Congress ticket, is contesting from Kota against Om Birla. So it is quite an interesting fight here. But apart from Kota, there are some of the seats that would interest the Indian electorate, and one is Jodhpur, from where Gajendra Singh Shekhawat, the Jal Shakti minister, is also contesting, and he is also eyeing his third victory. So these are the two interesting constituencies as far as the 13 seats are concerned in Rajasthan.
Right, let me now go across to Yogesh Sheetal, who is standing by in Nanded in Maharashtra. Yogesh, give us a flavor, if you will, of the campaigning in Marathwada region of Maharashtra in general and Nanded in particular. What's the mood among voters and candidates alike?
See, Ramesh, the most important development at this point in time is the NCP has just released the manifesto. NCP, Sharad Chand Pawar. We know that NCP is split recently into two parts. NCP, Sharad Chand Pawar, and NCP, which is currently led by Ajit Pawar, the basic NCP. Now, the thing is, coming to the manifesto, there are multiple promises that have been made, including reduction of the prices of LPG, and also the review of important laws pertaining to CAA, NRC, UAPA, and also judicial reform has also been included. So completely now you can see at the polling is going to be scheduled tomorrow here in 8 constituencies, basically 5 in Vidarbha and 3 in Marathwada region. In Marathwada region, Hingoli, Nanded, and Parvadi. And in the Vidarbha region, Akola, Buldana, Amravati, Yavatmal, and Wardha. There are 8 constituencies where polling is already scheduled, and a lot of preparations have been made. Currently, I am the one of the polling booths which is quite special in terms of workforce. This is called Sakhi polling booth, where all the workforce would be women and will be led by women, and working force would be women. And on the same line, also there are polling booths which are completely dedicated to youth workforce, Divyang workforce. So multiple arrangements have been put on place. Now it remains to be seen that what will be the voter turnout, because voter turnout has been a concern of in these regions, basically Marathwada and Vidarbha. So this will be quite interesting to see how voter turnout will be after tomorrow's voting.
Absolutely.
Yeah, over to you, Ramesh.
Right, we leave it at that. May I thank all my colleagues, Dibyendra Mondal in Katihar, Bihar, Vishal Baristo at Kota in Rajasthan, and Yogesh Sheetal at Nanded in Maharashtra. Thank you for now. Appreciate it. Well, in some more election-related news, Darjeeling, the beautiful West Bengal seat with hills and plains and tea gardens to boot, prepares to vote in the second phase. Now that the silence period is on, poll personnel are making their way to the polling stations. India's borders with Bangladesh, Bhutan and Nepal have been sealed. Measures are being put in place to ensure a free and fair election. DD India's Mark Lin reports from Darjeeling.
Darjeeling, known for its finest teas, as this tea garden worker shows us, leaves that every tea connoisseur knows are the very best. Tea among the hills and the sunsets, with a slight nip in the air, draws tourists in large numbers to the hills of Darjeeling. The people of the hills are mostly Gorkha and have been seeking more autonomy in their administration. That continues to be one of the key underlying issues in this election. With the silence period having commenced, polling personnel bound for remote polling stations Dadagaon, Ramam Forest and Samanden begin their journey to these booths, which are in part inaccessible by road. They check all their equipment before leaving.
They will have to travel another 26 kilometers. Out of this 26 kilometers, 7 kilometers will be by foot. We are providing porters for them, and then any other accommodation that is provided for them is already there. And special facilities we are providing is we have arranged for a location stay for them. Feeding with SSGs and tagging has already been done.
Staff attached to all other 1,996 polling stations will begin setting up their polling booths on the 25th of April, a day before the election. Final preparations for dispatch of EVMs are being made in the strong room. Every detail of equipment being registered and marked. Elsewhere, voters are beginning to reflect on the electoral exercise and their right to vote. As another toy train leaves on its iconic trip with happy tourists in tow, we asked a few voters about what's on their mind.
Election will come and go, but we'll see our nation is doing good. That's why we're going to vote who is doing such a good, because there's lots of political parties who have taken participation in Lok Sabha election, but we're voting who are doing good in this country.
See, this is my right to vote. I have to vote, no matter who I choose to vote for. This is my own decision.
My child is educated but doesn't have a job. They sell tea with me, help me, but there is no actual work. Nobody sees us. We'll have to see who will help us. No one looks after us. We'll have to see who in the government will help us. We'll make the government, and the government has to make us.
At the core of this election is the issue of development. Development means different things for different people, but what it really means is that every voter wants a better future for themselves and their families. With cameraman Piyush Vardhan Verma, this is Mark Lin, DD India, Darjeeling.
The temperature is soaring by the hour, but voters of East Tripura say that nothing will dampen their enthusiasm to go out and vote. DD India's Deepika Mehetho has more.
DD India has now reached the Teliamura region of East Tripura. It is indeed very hot here. You can see the flags behind me because a rally took place over here. But now the space and land is empty because the temperature is rising as the hours passes and people are going back to their homes. Let's now talk to some of the local people here. How are they planning to beat the heat amid the Lok Sabha elections?
The East Tripura district is all set to go to polls on the 26th of April and the temperature is rising by the hour. While the residents of East Tripura usually go back home in the afternoon on the voting day, they say that the scorching heat won't stop them this time. We went out to the voters and asked how they're going to beat the heat on the polling day.
We will go and vote on 26th April. Weather keeps on changing, that's not the concern. We will vote on the polling day.
People have got jobs here in East Tripura. We have seen a lot of development in the last few years. Nothing will stop us from voting. We will vote.
Inside the village area, we met a family who sells small items like biscuits and chips. They say that weather is a regular phenomenon, but parliamentary voting happens once in every 5 years.
Heat is not an issue. We will go in the morning to cast our vote. Voting is important.
So there you heard from the voters as well as the party leaders of both the main parties here in Tripura East District that whatever the weather may be, their enthusiasm for putting across the vote for polling on the 26th of April would not be affected by any of the climatic conditions. Be it summer, be it winter, be it a rainy season, the voters have always gone to vote and this time also they will go and vote in large numbers. With camera person Kumar Datta, this is Deepika reporting for DD India from Teliamara district, East Tripura.
Now, hours before the campaigning for the second phase came to a close on Wednesday evening, political parties put in their full might to woo voters for one last time. The city of Bhagalpur in Bihar witnessed intense canvassing through the day. Debyendu Mondal reports.
Set on the banks of the river Ganges, the city of Bhagalpur, known for its fine silk, is witnessing a two-corner fight this elections of 2024. The NDA Alliance's JDU candidate Ajay Mandal will face the India Alliance's Ajit Sharma. This seat of Bihar is also expected to witness a tough contest and is likely to go down to the wire. On the last day of campaigning on Wednesday, BJP National President JP Nadda campaigned here along with the JDU candidate Ajay Mandal amidst loud cheers from the people. While on the other hand, the Congress candidate Ajit Sharma held a roadshow in the city of Bhagalpur along with his daughter Neha Sharma, a renowned Bollywood actor. Bhagalpur, which has a large number of youths in its voter list owing to the colleges here, say that they would like to vote for a leader who is strong.
First of all, since it's a Lok Sabha election, I'm surely going to vote for somebody who is going to take our country to a better place.
First-time voters also look for a stable government at the centre.
I think most of the people in Bihar want a new face, right? They're fed up of them. They keep changing parties. There's a massive amount of horse trading going on. Everybody know that.
The Lok Sabha constituency of Bhagalpur had been a Congress stronghold for a very long time. But this Congress bastion was breached in 2014 by the Modi juggernaut. Ajay Mandal, who was earlier with the BJP, is now contesting on a JDU ticket and is seeking a re-election this time. Curtains are down and the political campaigning for the second phase of elections are over. The next 24 hours, it is the people of the 5 constituencies of Bihar that will deliberate on who their candidate would go to the parliament. With camera person Jagmohan, this is Dibyendu Model from Bhagalpur in Bihar for DD India.
And now to all the news from the world of sport with Abhishek Mahajan. Abhishek, take it away.
Thank you, Ramesh. A lot happening in sports. We'll start with chess story. Indian chess player D. Gukesh received a hero's welcome as he arrived at the airport in the early hours of Thursday morning after a historic triumph at the Canada's chess tournament in Toronto. A large crowd eagerly awaited his arrival and the area around the exit gate was packed with well-wishers. By winning the Canada's tournament, Gukesh became the first Indian after Vishwanathan Anand to secure the right to challenge the reigning world champion. He also broke Garry Kasparov's record, becoming the youngest ever challenger for title at the age of 17. Cricket now. Ahead of the upcoming T20 World Cup in June, Uganda cricket team has unveiled India's Abhay Sharma as the head coach. Abhay Sharma has previously worked with India A and India Under-19 as well as the Indian women's cricket team and Delhi Ranji Trophy team. DD India correspondent Leon Sesenyange reports from Uganda.
This is Abhay Sharma to Ugandan cricket.
A new man for a World Cup job. India's Abhay Sharma will be Uganda cricket's head coach for the next 3 years.
The world cricket is changing. There is a big pool of countries which are playing and competing at the highest level. So, to me, it's like giving back to the game.
The 54-year-old holds over a decade of experience in various coaching roles, most in India. His first task in Africa is to prepare the Uganda cricket team for the June T20 World Cup in West Indies and the USA.
Whatever experience I've got, I'll try and help these young cricketers and try and make the mindset of them that they can beat the top sides of the world, which they are capable of.
Sharma is expected to work along with Jackson Ogwang, who guided the Uganda cricket cranes to their debut at the competition.
Just want the boys to go out there and show the world there is a country in East Africa that actually plays cricket, and for themselves they should put up their hands with so many T20 competitions going on in the world. You never know who is watching.
Uganda is in Group C along with the hosts West Indies, Papua New Guinea, Afghanistan and New Zealand.
It doesn't mean whom you're playing with. It's certain standards, certain level, how you're putting your plans, how you're executing your plan. So that's what matters a lot. So everyone has a bat, everyone has a ball. What matters, where the plan works.
Uganda's cricket team comprises of at least 3 players of Indian origin. The cricket cranes head to Sri Lanka for their preparations before heading to the West Indies at the end of May. The new head coach brings a wealth of experience, having coached a number of teams in India. It is expected a quick tune-up of the Ugandan team will make the World Cup debutants a formidable side against some of the world's top cricket-playing nations. Leon Senyange in Kampala, Uganda, reporting for DD India.
All right, they play their first game against Afghanistan in the T20 World Cup. IPL stories now. Royal Challengers Bengaluru will take on informed Sunrisers Hyderabad in the 41st match of Indian Premier League on Thursday. Faf du Plessis led RCB at the bottom of the points table with just 1 win in 8 matches and need to win all the matches to have a glimpse of playoffs. The last time both teams saw each other, Hyderabad scored IPL's highest ever total of 287 and RCB scored 262 in the chase. It can be another game of that kind at the Uppal on Thursday. Football now. Everton registered an impressive 2-0 home victory over Liverpool in the Merseyside derby on Wednesday. Everton's first derby victory at Goodison Park in more than 13 years prevented Liverpool from climbing level with Arsenal at the top of the league table. Jurgen Klopp's men are 3 points behind the Gunners with 4 games to play. And Barcelona boss Xavi Hernandez on Wednesday reversed his decision to step down at the end of the season and agreed to stay in the charge of La Liga giants for the 2024-25 campaign. Xavi played for Barcelona for 17 years, making 767 appearances and winning 25 trophies, including 4 Champions League titles and 8 La Liga crowns. And Japanese Olympic champion Ryu Kobayashi scored to a world record 291-meter ski jump in Akureyri, Iceland on Wednesday. Kobayashi shattered the ski flying and ski jump world record by 37.5 meters. All right, that's all we have in sports stories. Back to you, Ramesh.
Thank you, Abhishek. Right, and as the world observes Malaria Day, India has made important strides in tackling the disease burden. DD India's Shubhendu Ghosh speak with Joint Secretary Ministry of Health on the issue. Take a listen.
April 25th is observed as World Malaria Day. I have with me Joint Secretary Rajiv Manjhi from Ministry of Health and Family Welfare to talk about it. Sir, if you could give us a broad view on the fight against malaria and how is India performing in this domain?
Good. India has made significant reduction in malaria cases. If I talk about last 10 years, the cases have declined significantly. In 2015, if we compare from 2015 to 2023, the decline is in terms of incidence almost 80% and above. And if we talk about decline in death, it is around 78%. If we talk technically with respect to API or annual parasite incidence, it has come down from 0.92% to 0.16. So there is a huge reduction in number and prevalence of malaria cases in the country.
And can you also tell us about the challenges that still prevail? We learned that even climate change has an impact on the manner in which malaria spreads.
Exactly. Climate change is a major contributor as on date. Because of climate change, malaria, which used to be a seasonal phenomena, has become a perennial phenomenon, and as a result, now vectors are active all over the year. So this is a major challenge, climate change. Other than this, there are challenges. We have hard to reach areas in India, and we are focusing on that as how to overcome those challenges.
Thank you very much for speaking with DD India. That was Joint Secretary, Ministry of Health, talking about the manner in which India is dealing with the challenge of malaria and the role that climate change plays in it. With camera person Vishwabandhu Goyal, Shubhendu Ghosh for DD India, New Delhi.
And with that, it's a wrap on this edition of DD India News Hour. For those of you on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates on the DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. You can scan the QR code on the screens now to download it. Right, let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. You can connect with us on Facebook, X and Instagram. You can also check out our website ddindia.co.in. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran. From all of us here in New Delhi, thanks for watching DD India News Hour.